What if I told you that the fate of the Roman Empire wasn't in Nero's hands, but in the clenched fists of his generals? Nero may be remembered as one of the most extravagant emperors in history, but while he played his lyre and mesmerized Rome's elite, who truly held the reins of the empire, who marched into battle, crushed rebellions, and defended the borders from invaders. Among these men was Gnaeus Domitius Corbulo, one of the greatest military commanders of his time. While Nero sought immortality through art, Corbulo was building his own legend on the battlefield, defeating the Parthians and expanding Rome's dominance in the east. But there was a problem. Nero needed these generals to maintain his power, yet he feared them at the same time. He saw in them potential rivals, shadows that could swallow his own authority. Think about it. The men who ensured the survival of Nero's reign were the same ones who later betrayed him or were destroyed by him. Some fought to the end in loyalty. Others saw an opportunity to seize the throne for themselves. And in the midst of this silent war, one question lingered. Who truly ruled Rome? The emperor in his golden palace, or the generals marching across the battlefields? Corbulo, Verginius Rufus, Galba, Otho. Some are war heroes, others traitors. But who was right? Who was wrong? And more importantly, why did Nero, despite being surrounded by the most powerful armies in the world, end his life alone, fleeing like a criminal? In today's video, you'll discover how Nero's generals kept Rome standing while their leaders spiraled into chaos, and how their decisions helped shape the greatest empire of antiquity, but also sealed their own fate. So, if you want to understand how ambition, loyalty, and betrayal shaped this turbulent era, keep watching. And if you love diving into the most intriguing moments of Roman history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us bring you more epic content like this. While Nero basked in luxury, his empire depended on men like Gnaeus Domitius Corbulo, a disciplined and highly skilled general. In the east, Corbulo waged brutal campaigns against the Parthians, securing victories that expanded Rome's influence. His leadership earned him the absolute loyalty of his soldiers, who saw in him the kind of commander Rome desperately needed. But despite his battlefield success, he remained overshadowed by an emperor more interested in his own image than in military strategy. Corbulo's loyalty to Nero was undeniable, but it was also his greatest weakness. The more victories he won, the more dangerous he became in the emperor's eyes. Nero's paranoia grew, and even his most trusted general could not escape suspicion. But Corbulo wasn't the only one facing this dilemma. Other commanders would soon find themselves trapped between duty and survival. What happened when the same men who defended Nero's empire became his greatest threats? Lucius Verginius Rufus, a general known for his discipline, crushed the Gallic revolt led by Vindex, securing Nero's rule, at least for the moment. Yet, despite his loyalty, Rufus found himself at the center of an unexpected crisis. His soldiers, believing Nero was unfit to rule, attempted to proclaim him emperor. Rufus refused, choosing to uphold the existing order. But in a world where power was built on force, refusing the throne was as dangerous as seizing it. Meanwhile, Corbulo's fate was sealed. Called back to Rome under false pretenses, he was forced to take his own life, another victim of Nero's growing paranoia. The message was clear. Loyalty meant nothing if the emperor saw you as a threat. But if even the most obedient generals were not safe, what choices did the others have? As tensions escalated, one commander decided to take fate into his own hands. How did an aging governor in Hispania spark the downfall of an emperor? Servius Sulpicius Galba, a veteran general governing Hispania, saw an opportunity where others saw danger. Declaring himself emperor, he rallied support from disillusioned legions and powerful senators. His move sent shockwaves through the empire, and the balance of power shifted overnight. Nero, who had relied on his generals to crush rebellions, now found himself the target of one. And this time, there was no loyal commander left to save him. The betrayal ran deep. Even the Praetorian Guard, Nero's elite protectors, turned against him, persuaded by their commander Nymphidius Sabinus to support Galba. Isolated and abandoned, Nero fled, knowing that capture meant humiliation and death. The once mighty emperor, who had ruled over the greatest army in the world, was now a fugitive. But with Nero gone, Rome faced an even greater challenge. What happens when those who overthrow a tyrant start fighting for power themselves? With Nero dead, the generals who once served him now battled for control. Galba, the man who had toppled the emperor, found his rule short-lived as Otho, another ambitious commander, seized power. What followed was chaos, an empire torn apart by its own protectors. The very men who had kept Rome strong under Nero now turned against one another, plunging the empire into the year of the four emperors. Their ambitions reshaped Rome, proving that military power could make or break an emperor. But in the end, was Nero's downfall inevitable, or did his paranoia create the very enemies that destroyed him? And if power alone couldn't protect an emperor, what truly held the Roman Empire together? Nero's generals fought for power, proving that military strength alone couldn't secure an emperor's rule. But what truly held Rome together during its greatest challenges? One key factor was the strategic might of Roman forts, sustaining entire legions deep in enemy territory. How did they ensure their soldiers had everything they needed to fight and survive? Find out in our next video, the secret of Roman forts, how they supplied thousands in enemy territory. Click here to watch now.